Hi, GitLab and wider internet. It's Friday, May 15th, and you're here with the growth marketing team so we can share some results, a bit of show and tell, and maybe a town hall for our team if there are any questions. And first up is Shane Rice with Metrics.
Hey, thanks, Danielle. Yeah, so looking at metrics, again, our focus is primarily website traffic and MQL growth. And so looking here, I will just quickly share my screen so you can see where we're at here so you don't just hear me rattle off numbers. And you can see that we are on track for website traffic growth. Our goal is 20% year over year. So for new users, so that's Google Analytics tracks those users for us, and then we have users year to date, and then new users. So, right on track with both of those. Dropped a little bit week over week, but I think that's not too concerning. It's not a massive change. And then if you can also click on this link if you want to see that source in Google Analytics. And then for the MQL commitments, again, that is looking green there as well, on track for based on where we're at in the quarter, and actually tracking a little ahead of where we need to be. 1,001, not tails, but large MQLs. And you can also click through and see the Periscope chart where I pulled this data from. This is all through May 14th, so through yesterday. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Shane Bouchard for show and tell.
Thank you for that, Shane. I don't like following Shane in presentations because of his radio voice. I told him he's lucky I'm not Ursula. I would definitely steal his voice. So yeah, this is an opportunity for us to show and tell what we've completed this week. So I will go ahead and pass it to the first, looks like, pair on the list, Suri and Bree.
I actually don't think Suri is on the call because she's having computer issues, but I will share in a second that the epic that I've created, Niall and Suri and I have been working together to basically come up with better SEO strategies and topic cluster organization. So Niall has created, or he's working on creating an SEO best practices resource for the content team. He hasn't actually fully finished it yet. He also has 2 tools that he's working on, and again, they're not finished. So the epic is, a work in progress still, but the optimization tools are primarily for topic clusters and ensuring that there's keyword cannibalization isn't happening, and we're trying to avoid duplication of content moving forward, and also trying to figure out how to include this in the handbook and how to document it. Do you need to see my epic? Should I share it still? What do you think? I could just move on quickly to the, well, I just wanted to point out 2 other things that have been published this week. The new case study, how GitLab Geo supports NVIDIA's innovation, and also a new ebook for the AWS integrated campaign. So those 2.
Bree, will you show the NVIDIA case study on the screen just so everybody can see it?
Sure. I just had to link to that.
Take your time, we got lots of time.
Does that work? No. There you go. So this is the case study, and it finally is showing up properly in Twitter with the images. Yeah. And I don't know who is next. Matt.
Thank you. So today what I'm going to be sharing is the Devsec Ops campaign design. This is my first project with GitLab, so it was either Luke was going to be happy that he hired me or very, very, very sad that he hired me. The feedback has been great. We're moving forward with it, so I think job security is here for at least another week. So I'll just bring it up on my screen, 1 second. So part of the rationale for this campaign, for the theme, was to represent data as well as the people who generated the data within a way that connects with the GitLab vibe, but also represents the community and development and code. Part of the interesting thing about these graphics is that I actually use code to create them via the D3 jQuery library. So I found an example that I thought was working. I tweaked the code so I could affect the radiating blobby circle things and all that, and colored them, made them all dashy like code. And then the intent was, as we get down to the next section, is to represent the data with code. So each one of these graphics is produced by code and colored by us, styled, all put together. The iconography is, the final icons are being delivered by Vic, and they're looking great. So yeah, so example, this one is 59% of companies deploy multiple times a day, etc. So what I've done is use 59 as the number to generate this graphic, and it generates it randomly, kind of like a jellyfish or a tree or whatever. Nature does what it does within, some constraints. So using that to show, data has life to it. It's not just code. It's not just engineers. It has a vibe. It has a feeling, and all this data was generated by the community and by folks that took the DevSecOps survey. So it felt like we should, kind of reward them for giving up their time and their possibly sensitive information, and give them something that is, kind of fun to look at, something that, could carry through, possibly do another year, or maybe it's just fun for this one. But yeah, it was fun to make. And I'm looking forward to see the finished product. So with that, gonna hand it over to Vanessa.
Okay, and I will share my screen. Oh, and I locked it. Hang on, sorry. Oh, I have to go into my security settings. But I did include the link in the agenda. So basically, if you want to click into the link, it's to the PDF. The first link is to the PDF that Monica created for our remote DevOps guide. And what we're doing, or what we've been working on over the past 2 weeks, is updating the content to make it more valuable to DevOps practitioners. Oh, thank you, Erica. So basically, we've rearranged a lot of the sections. Some of the biggest differences, we revised the tone to be more positive. We streamlined some of the language. And this, by the way, this is the first version that you're looking at, so MVC 1, and I'm talking about MVC 2. We condensed the section for the foundation of remote DevOps. We added 2 new sections about the stages of remote DevOps, and then some tips that people can use to basically to transition into a remote work. And then we also added more references in line to how teams can use GitLab to do better at remote DevOps. And so that copy that's been updated is going to be handed over to Monica today, and hopefully we'll have a new version of this by the end of the month. And then I think next up is Shane B.
Thanks, Vanessa. Very cool to see the next iteration of the DevOps playbook taking shape, and just everything that everybody's been sharing. It's super exciting. Today, I just wanted to take a moment to share some learnings and some new tools and techniques that I think we can all use. And I'll do that talking a little bit about the work that I've done with strategic marketing and Stephen on the comparison campaign. So I think most of you know that on aboutgitlab.com, we have a comparison section where we compare ourselves to other products throughout the DevOps lifecycle. You can get there by going to aboutgitlab.com, scrolling to the bottom, clicking on DevOps tools in the footer. So I was asked actually by Todd to take a look at the comparison pages. We GitLab wanted to basically iterate them and try to get them to be a bit more high performing. I've done similar work in my prior role and company, and so I jumped right in. I just wanted to share some of the tools I used and techniques, because I think we can apply them to a lot of our work, not just in design, but cross-functionally. So the first thing I did is this being a comparison effort, I just did a quick Google search and found other comparison websites and pages and screen capped those and looked at how they compared products, what types of UI and elements they used to do that, how did they represent the metrics and the data, what were the sort of conventional ways of doing things across all those sites, you know, that just everybody seemed to be doing the same thing, so that I could embrace those quote unquote boring solutions under the assumption that if a lot of folks are doing them, it's for especially industry leaders that do this exclusively. If they're using them, then there's probably good reason for that. So, and I reached out and I asked folks to let me know if they had competitive sites that they thought I should look at. So that was just a quick sort of iteration 0, you know, to screen cap a bunch of other solutions and use those to just brainstorm off of and identify these industry conventions. From there, I went ahead and I took screen caps of the experience, of our experience, current state from Google, what it looks like when I type in things like compare GitLab, for example, the home page, the home comparison page, and then the actual product to product comparison pages. And I went in and added these notes in Figma, just noting where I thought there was opportunity for improvement and why, and once I had done this, and again, this is a very rapid effort, maybe 4 hours total up to this point, then I was able to share both of these with stakeholders like Todd and others, and share what I thought and get their thoughts, both synchronously and async. And I think the visuals really help, you know, spawn a lot richer feedback and richer conversations. From there,
are you sharing your screen? Are you intending to share your screen?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. There we go. These are the comparison, competitive, and comparative examples. Here's the screenshots of our experience from Google to the home page to the detail pages and the notes that I added. And this is all linked from the issue as well. Just identifying opportunities for improvement and then meeting with stakeholders and having conversations with them about what they see and where they see opportunities for improvement. Do they agree or disagree with me? As they share their feedback, I'm adding notes, you know, point of interest notes about what they're thinking. So in a very brief period of time, there's an opportunity to use these visuals to align on where we are, what others are doing, where we see opportunity for improvement collectively, and then rapidly spin up, you know, a lo-fi MVC of what these comparison pages might look like in the future, and then have a quick discussion around those, iterate that. So it's just these very short bursts, like hour, 2 hours of iterating a lo-fi design, have another conversation, another hour, have another conversation. Long story short, we eventually arrived on working with stakeholders, including strategic marketing, folks like Mahesh, on a new approach that's very conversion focused and modular based, that allows us to compare ourselves to semi-platforms like Atlassian or GitHub, as well as toolchain options such as Jenkins. And the page is designed to be both easier for folks, more compelling, and also easier to consume, and then very efficient so that one page design in these modules can be applied to many product comparisons. And so I just wanted to share this tool we're using here is Figma. This is a great way, I think, to approach any solution. Have conversations. For example, we could do this with the DevOps playbook. We could do this with landing pages. We could have these sort of rapid design sessions with content, marketing stakeholders, you name it. So that's what I wanted to share today because I thought this pattern could be applied to many things. With that, I will pass it over to Stephen, who is actually taking it from the wireframe stage and applying the visual design.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. I don't know if we planned that I'd be right after you, but that worked out very well. So awesome. So here, I'll share my screen so you can all look at it. I'm looking at. Okay. So yeah, just building upon what Shane was saying, going from kind of lo-fi to Wi-Fi. I put a link to the design in here, and then I'll just share it on my screen. But this is kind of building on Shane's initial wires. We're starting these new comparison pages, and essentially, this is kind of a hi-fi version of that. And the goal is to get it to a point where we can scale it out to any company, any platform. This chart could be 3 wide or 4 wide theoretically, but anyways, I'll just kind of breeze through it a little bit, but trying to kind of draw some visual interest to these here and really get eyeballs on the differences and highlight kind of the scoring between these two. So I'll kind of scroll through, but these are collapsible tables. Then within the collapsible tables, there's more text available here, just so you know this, once it's live, this heading will actually scroll with you down the table. So you kind of keep track of who's who. From there, there's, download PDF, call to action. This study is actually by a third-party company, so we're trying to highlight that. But it's not us just saying, hey, we're better than someone. It's actually a third-party company. In this case, it's Accelerated Strategies. But again, there's, flexibility to drop in whatever here. And then just going on down the page, there's a little bit more content from us about, key selling points. And then we're starting to integrate some video carousels. It's kind of a new feature. We're working with another vendor to help build out this specifically just from a resourcing standpoint. But again, this is kind of based off Shane's wires. And then we're essentially trying to build out components throughout the site that we could reuse anywhere. So, a comparison table, a video carousel, these are not things that we're just trying to isolate on one page, but that we could theoretically drop in anywhere. So the page is actually being built where the data comes in via YAML, so that theoretically anyone could come in, add this component to the page, drop some content in a YAML file, and then it would kind of spit this out. So again, there's just some credibility boosting content on here to kind of back up the table. And then at the bottom, this is like a sticky footer that's actually going to stay with the user through the whole page. So yeah, nothing too crazy, but we're trying to kind of streamline these designs. Like Shane said, start using kind of a modular approach to building out pages so that it's easier to build pages rapidly, across the site. So that's it from me. Let me jump in here and see who's next. Luke, I'll pass it to you.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Let's see here. Just want to share one thing I'm working on this week. If I can find the right tab. Okay. Cool. So hopefully you'll kind of start to see a common theme here with Shane going before me. But so this is work I was going to share about the GitOps use case campaign, or infrastructure as code is kind of the other name. So in kind of sharing how we kind of arrive at these concepts and generate them. So Mural is another product we use similar to Figma, but you'll see kind of basically starting out the project similar to how Shane worked through the comparison pages, and that we're kind of sort of pulling from strategic marketing and sort of the campaign team in terms of kind of key phrases, keywords, and kind of just sort of brainstorming those, and then basically doing some visual research. So really rudimentary kind of Google image search of GitOps and kind of different phrases and seeing what comes up. So there was a lot of kind of very complex sort of diagrams, as you can kind of see, and then you know, kind of diving into like the infrastructure component here. So it's really kind of doing a survey of what's out there, what others are doing. You'll see a few that are kind of more iconic, and given these campaigns span display banners, social, email, landing pages, you have to kind of consider all those applications, and specifically display banners and their limited real estate. So we kind of try to go the more iconographic route with those. So obviously kind of these more complex diagrams, infographics don't necessarily work. So there wasn't a whole lot out there in terms of GitOps. So the idea behind these mural boards is that, you know, time was of the essence here, so I didn't do a very good job, but we can kind of pull in the greater design team, stakeholders that can come in and, you know, leave sticky notes similar to this one Brandon left, pull in different imagery, and kind of have like a collaborative brainstorm, kind of async, and then we can revisit this to sort of inform the final concepts. So I'll hop over to the issue and where I presented the different concepts. Again, we're going for kind of like an icon or an emblem that can kind of say GitOps, with the caveat of, you know, there will be supporting copy that kind of further strengthens the visual. So kind of keeping that in mind. So just different concepts where here was kind of like single source of truth, which is kind of a big, struggling for the words, but essentially kind of whittling down what GitOps is as being a single source of truth. So being inspired by Git, utilizing Git for that sort of single source of truth, and kind of having the infrastructure not be a separate part, but kind of integrated into the code and sort of the DevOps side of things and how they work. Again, here kind of getting metaphorical with infrastructure, kind of referencing construction, building, that sort of thing here. And then concepts 3 through 5 are kind of iterations, and I think this is what so far has resonated the best. Kind of the cog sort of being a recognized symbol for kind of settings or backend configurations, that sort of thing. So kind of visualizing sort of the infrastructure as code with these 3 examples here. So yes, that's what I've got. So from here, we'll kind of gain consensus from the campaign team, might iterate a little bit further, but then we'll generate kind of final assets that would be, you know, like I said, display banners, social, landing page, ebooks, the whole spread. So that's what I've got, and I will throw it over to Monica.
Hello. Okay, so mine is kind of jumping off of Matt's designs with the Devsec Ops campaign. And so I'm working on the PDF and bringing all of those into there, but it is still work in progress. This is going to be released today, I believe. So there's still a lot of changes to make. So I won't dive too deep, especially because I think we're trying to keep it like a surprise. But just trying to bring those visuals over into the PDF, and some of the like graphs and data that we have, going a little deeper with those and just laying everything out. But the rest is secret. You can see in the issue that's linked in the agenda if you want to look through the rest of the PDF in its current state. Then I'm going to, Chrissy is next. So.
Hi, everyone. So I will share my screen. So Luke was very nice in presenting the visuals, and now I shall present to you the words. So you can see the screen here. So GitOps is sort of a new area for us. Sarah Kasabian wrote a really nice series of blogs late last year. about GitOps. And so now we're running a campaign on it. So what we're trying to do is really get our name out in the GitOps space. So here are some of the core ideas that I came up with for messaging, and William Chia has been really instrumental in coming up with, you know, some of these usage, like some of these words. I can actually show you, there is a handbook page that is live. So I will click on that if you can see it. So we have, we've been working on the GitOps and infrastructure as code use cases. So this is where a lot of this language is living right now, and we have plans to create a topic page for it. So this is findable right now. So let me go back to this. So we have basically 4 key points with GitOps messaging is single source of truth. A lot of GitOps right now, well, a lot of infrastructure is done right now manually, and it's pretty time intensive. And if you need to make any changes, you pretty much have to start from scratch. So GitOps provides a single source of truth for all of your infrastructure definitions and changes. And then infrastructure automation. So instead of manually doing infrastructure, you know, you can do it through us through merge requests. So merge requests, that is the process for managing infrastructure. And then visibility and collaboration. Of course, GitLab is all about visibility. And now instead of infrastructure living with this little team that just kind of does it manually and nobody knows how it works, now it's in a tool where everyone can see how to do it. And then repeatable, that's one of the big key points of infrastructure as code and GitOps, is that infrastructure definition is codified and repeatable. So it's not just this manual process managed by like this little team and they kind of work in secret and everything's just with them. So they're like the keepers of the truth. Now it's something that's accessible to everyone. And also GitLab plays well with others. So we have a tight integration with industry leading infrastructure automation tools like Terraform and Ansible. And we are going to be doing some webcasts with some of these tools in June, I believe. So, you know, really reinforcing that message that GitLab is a great resource for doing GitOps and for infrastructure as code. So we're still iterating on this, and we're going to be having a topic page going over some of these concepts and putting that definition out there, but really exciting stuff. And now we have words and now we have visuals. So the campaign is coming together. And next is Becky.
Sure. So I will go quickly because we're coming towards the end. We have a handbook page for growth marketing right now. So quick things to note on here is that there are a lot of updates that we need to do throughout the handbook. So there's an epic that I started so we can put individual issues for there and getting these things organized. The audience for this page is really outside of growth marketing. So the things that we want to say to people, but it's a good resource for right now. And the kind of the processes at a high level that I'm putting in here, I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do a voiceover with them and put it in the Slack channel. And the idea here is that this is high level for the whole of growth marketing. This is not supposed to interrupt your individual team processes. So if it does, let me know. And then it begins with a communication overview for when people are submitting issues to us or our team. And that's kind of like what we say, how we're going to communicate with people so that they know what's going on in the stages. And it has a few specifics for process. And just for everybody to know, I put on here that I started a production epic. There's going to be a bunch of things in there, including templates. I'm going through issues right now and kind of being the bad cop and saying I guess it's not bad cop, but asking for more information. So when people send you issues and they're really high level, I'm going in and being like, can you please clarify what the deliverable is here? Can you please break this up into multiple different issues, because we don't really know what's happening here. So you're going to see me doing that for the next few weeks. So that's why I'm in all your issues, just trying to help you guys get everything sorted and the information that you need. So I will hand it off to Shane Rice.
Thanks, Becky. So my update's going to be really short. We made an update to 10 pages to add CTAs that fall in line with use case or mastering CI/CD. What we did though is we made sure that these pages all have a CTA that ties back to the topic of CI. So these awareness pages now all have a call to action that sends people on to a resource that matches the content they started on. So you can see all those updates in the MR that's linked in the agenda. But to save time, I'm not going to share my screen and pass it on to Danielle.
All right, just super quick. There's going to be a product growth group conversation on Monday morning. It's great. There are partners in the product side of the house. So if you can attend or check out the agenda async, that would be lovely. So Becky, take it away to run the shout outs.
Sure. Okay. So let's go through these quickly for shout outs. Just put something that you want to, like a team member you want to shout out to in the project. So, and then hand it off to the next person. So Luke, you're first.
Yep. Awesome, Becky. I'll talk super fast. So a quick shout out to Matt. He's guaranteed at least 2 to 3 more weeks here with us based on the DevSecOps survey. So awesome job there. And taking that on like your second, third week. And then also Monica and Vic for their willingness to jump in on that project. I thought it was an awesome collaboration and we should definitely do more of it. So thanks to all 3 of you. Appreciate it. Over to Matt.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Luke. So thanks back to you for your help on all this. Thanks to Luke, Monica, Vic, Val, Suri, Brandon, and Shane B for all the help. This being my first project, your insight and feedback and turnaround time was awesome, super quick, and I'm stoked to do another one. So the next is over to Becky.
Sure. I just want to do a quick shout out to Brandon and Luke, who were already doing a bunch of work on trying to get a process in place for their teams and getting things sorted. It's really helpful, and I've been adding it to the stuff that I've been doing. And then Shane Rice for helping me get that handbook page up. Over to Erica.
Becky, I just want to give a quick shout out to Val, who has been working on this developer, or as we're calling it now, DevSecOps report for 6 or more months now, and it launches on Monday, and it's just really exciting to see all of that hard work come to fruition and everybody who collaborated on it here. We've been running this survey for about 4 years, and every year it gets a little bit better, and this year it got a lot better. So just really great job to Val and the team here.
Cool. So we have just a couple minutes left, and I love that the Q&A section is getting used for the first time. So Erica, do you want to verbalize your question?
Yeah, just as Shane and Steven were showing those comparison pages, I was just curious to know who's writing the copy for those pages, and if this is an area where the content team can jump in. And I can see Shane is typing that a third party is writing the comparison content, and I'll stop there, and maybe Shane, you want to vocalize what you're writing.
I know there's a discussion underway around strategic marketing and what they write, and then content, depending on where we are in the funnel that's unfolding. Not sure where that's landed. What I can say is there is a need for content support. I don't think it's a big lift. Most of the content is the comparison content that you saw in the comparison table and then the comparison takeaway. That's all being authored by a third party, Acceleration Strategies, I believe, for credibility reasons. Below that fold, there's our content, and I think it would be great to have someone helping there and making sure that those headers and subheads and so on are really optimized to compel and convert.
Cool, that's exactly what I'm thinking too. Of like the comparisons themselves probably we're not going to change, but any headers, subheaders, conversion focused copy, we can jump in and help there if somebody wants to ping us on the issue whenever we get there.
Great. Thanks for offering to help. That brings us to the end of the agenda, and we managed to get through all of it with 1 minute to spare. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I'll post this up on Slack shortly with @mentions for all the shout outs. Rock, and I'll see you Monday. Bye.
Thanks, all. Have a good weekend.
Yeah.